how do you, I guess, what's the advice you give to someone that says, oh, I want to change things, I want to change things up, or I want to see this change internally? How do you go about it? How do you, because you've got to get buy-in, maybe 1 or 2 levels above. How do you go about pitching that change?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one that, to your point, is universal. I've been challenged with that everywhere I've been at any level of the organization. I obviously wasn't always at this level early on in my career. What I found is you really need to have principles because the situations will change, the data will change, the dynamics will change, the people will change, the state, right? All of those things are out of your control, right? They're uncontrollable elements of this equation. When you have certain principles around entrepreneurship, around innovation, around change, some of the terminology used as well, you can apply those principles throughout any of those situations, regardless of what variables change. And so for me, it's been one of those has been solving a business challenge, solving a business problem, not just building technology, not just instituting new things for the sake of change. I have a better way of doing it. I bet you 20 other people think they have better ways of doing it too, right? It's very hard to pinpoint what's right or wrong. When you start with what is a core thing that we're struggling with? Are we struggling to get better margins? Are we struggling to generate more revenue? What are those business problems that aren't being solved? And you orbit your focus and time and energy on solving those. That to me leads to a lot of opportunity.
That to me, that's also true innovation, because a lot of times innovation gets wrapped up in here's the latest bright and shiny and like, hey, we want to be doing something, to be seen to be doing something. But if it's not, like you said, going back to solving a core problem, then it's really just, something distracting, and it's more performative innovation than actual innovation.
Yeah, which has a role too, right? And I try to be very purposeful splitting those things out. There's going to be, I don't love the word failure, but and that's like a very part of the vernacular now, fail fast, I ascribe it more to learning. I'm always learning something, and I'm going to learn if something worked, if it worked how we intended it to, if we didn't. And it's why I try to use more scientific words like hypothesis, right? A hypothesis that's true or false. It's not a failure, right? It's we thought this was going to happen. It didn't. Why? Why not? What could be done differently? Why didn't we think of that before? Was there a reason why we made a decision to do it this way versus this other way, which led to this outcome? There's so many layers to this of trying to understand where that and how that process works, and the ability to accept that it's not going to be a straight line, but it is going to be this very iterative learning and recycle and repeat is really, I think, what you have to, another one of those principles that you have to hold on to, because it's not going to be, hey, I came up with this great idea. It's very rarely does that happen on the first try in a clean line